What's up, everybody? Welcome to the You Guys Maybe Inc. podcast, the number one Finding Nemo podcast on the interwebs. My name is Chase.
My name is Vaughn.
And we're the dudes from Fanboy Talks, the channel where you can talk about fanboy and fangirl stuff. You know?
Yeah, you talk about whatever the fuck you want. Fanboy, fangirl stuff, mostly video games, stuff like that. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Funko Pops are a big hit.
Yeah, not really anymore. I don't really give a fuck about Funko Pops anymore.
Wow, you did a 180 on that.
A lot of, it was like I collected them for a long time, and then eventually I got super sick of me spending money on them, which was like a tiny amount of money. It wasn't a big deal, but buying them and then them ending up like being terribly put together, or just everybody getting a different pop essentially because their painting was different or some stupid shit, it just got kind of annoying. So it's like, there are better quality like things that I could purchase, like the cute but deadly figures in my opinion are better, and some other figures. So I was like, nah, the cute pop figures are also really nice. They don't have paint like just lathered on. So I was like, I would rather just not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why.
I don't really do a whole lot of collecting, but collecting's fun.
I feel like collecting is part of my personality kind of a thing, because I collect like just miscellaneous collectibles, and I collect video games, and I collect like movies. I basically just decide to collect something. I'm like, I don't fucking care. Let's just, anything that I can just throw money at for absolutely no reason, I'll do it.
Yeah, throwing money's awesome.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Because, I mean, you feel like if you have it, you have to spend it. Well, at least that's me.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel about it. It's just uncomfortable because you're like, maybe I should save this, and then it's like, nah, I'm not gonna save it. Instead, I'm just gonna spend it.
Yeah, that's how it always goes, though, because you're like, oh, man, I have a lot of money right now, like tax return season or whatever. You're like, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save it next year. I'm going to save it the year after. I'm going to have a lot of money. Then you're like, ooh, that $400 something is really pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, generally that's how it goes. Like, I recently am like, man, I really, really want a new like TV/entertainment system, and I'm like, why buy one? I've got what I need. And I'm like, why not buy one if I have the money? It's like the true like American way to do things is like, you know, why not? Because I've got the fucking money.
I've got the money, and for some reason I don't want the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you got anything interesting going on today? It's pretty early for us to be making the podcast, huh?
It's not necessarily anything interesting. I mean, for me, not at least. The Super Bowl is going on today as we're recording this. That's why we're recording it early, so he can watch the Super Bowl. He's a big Patriots fan. But altogether, like me, I'm just, I'm gonna go get my tires rotated. I'm gonna get an oil change. I'm gonna maybe buy some more video games. Just come full circle around to the initial.
You're gonna go to a pawn shop?
No, I did that yesterday. Yeah, if you guys want to save some money, just go to pawn shops and buy fucking video games for $5 when they're worth $40, because they don't know how to price them correctly. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We go in there and it's like, yeah, here's $8, like Diablo 3, the full expansion or whatever, and you go to GameStop and it's like, oh, that's $35 here. And you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird. I pick up games for, like, GTA 5 was $10 for PS4. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with the disc. And it's still $40 to $60 in stores. And I'm like, wow, how do you guys price your stuff? I don't really understand.
That game, it's still selling like crazy.
It does, yeah. I don't think I'll ever get it. It's really intense.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of fun for, like, in my opinion, just like 20-minute segments. Yeah,
I mean, lots of people just play it 100%. They do the whole microtransaction thing. I'm really excited for like Red Dead's multiplayer, because I've always enjoyed the modern day multiplayer, whatever. So Grand Theft Auto isn't exactly my style, but Red Dead, that's my shit. I love westerns, so I'm super stoked. Speaking of Red Dead, if you guys don't know yet, Red Dead Redemption 2 was recently, technically it was pushed back, it was delayed because it was supposed to come out in spring of 2018, but it's actually now being released in October of 2018, which is kind of funny because, like, everybody in the games industry are, like, tweeting out how every game, like, publisher or anybody who's putting out a game in October just shit their pants because they're like, well, we just got fucked. So I'm assuming, like, Battlefield doesn't have a release date yet, and it's definitely not coming out in October like Battlefield 1 did. I would assume more like September or late November, similar to when Call of Duty's coming out. But even then, Battlefield would have to, like, its natural competitor is Call of Duty, and it would have to literally compete with it in, like, in order. So Call of Duty would come out and then Battlefield would come out, or vice versa. So I'm excited to see how this all goes. It definitely seems like just Rockstar throwing their hat into the ring just randomly in the end of the year is kind of, it's shaking things up. So yeah, I'm excited to see how everything plays out.
The thing about Rockstars, it's not the fact that they're just throwing their hat in the ring. They're throwing a fucking tank in the ring and they're saying, come at us.
Yeah, let's be real. If it's the choice between Call of Duty, Battlefield, or Red Dead Redemption, 90% of gamers is going to choose Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just because, like, what you get for the game. Lots of people might be Call of Duty or Battlefield fans, but a lot of people played the original Red Dead Redemption and loved it. I'm not talking about Red Dead Revolver. I'm literally talking about Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Revolver, different thing. Really good game. Super different, though. So I'm definitely excited to see how Rockstar does all this. Like I said, I'm a big Western fan, so it should be interesting. I was interested to see how they were going to bring everything together full circle, from John Marston dying and the whole motif of the dying of the West that Red Dead Redemption's was. But now I'm very much assuming that they're doing a prequel, whereas you play as somebody in Dutch's gang other than John Marston. Well, I mean, I think they've all but confirmed that. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Dutch's gang was before you hunted down, murdered, or captured all of them.
Now, if you're the, like, not necessarily the developer, but the the company that puts it out, like EA and stuff, the producer, I guess, publisher, that's it. If you're them, how do you go about this? Do you release it? Do you change your plans at all? Do you release it before Red Dead comes out? Because, I mean, before it comes out, I feel like you have a better shot than after Red Dead comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, like, a business major or anything. I'm going to school for journalism, so I could be a games journalist. So it's not necessarily something I know. But what I would think they do, and what I'd recommend them do is, yeah, definitely put their games out earlier rather than later, because you can beat a game. You can, let's say you put it out a month before, people are more likely to be like, okay, cool, I need something to play for a month before Red Dead comes out, so they'll purchase you a game, play it for a month, and then Red Dead will come out. So you're not going to get the overall return that you might have hoped for, but at least people are going to buy it, rather than if you release it, like, in November, people probably, they might not buy your game just because, like, hey, Red Dead came out, and not only am I playing its storyline, I'm also playing its online multiplayer. Like we talked about, GTA 5's online multiplayer is freaking huge. And if Red Dead's multiplayer doesn't initially come out with the game, I would assume it'd come out in either mid to late November. So you definitely
like a month
have
after release.
Yeah, about a month after release. So you definitely have some competition no matter what if you come out after. But if you come out before, you're pretty solid. You might wreck your calendar, but I mean, there are, of course, obviously these, like, small indie games and stuff that might they're just gonna release anyway. It doesn't really matter. People are gonna play them if they like them. The people who are gonna play these games, like, let's say Celeste didn't end up coming out in the beginning of the year, it was pushed till October. Celeste would still be talked about. It wouldn't be, like, as well known as it is right now because of the drought in video games, other than playing, like, Monster Hunter World and some other small games. But small indie games, the people who want to play them are going to play them. But big AAA titles, these are things that you need the like mainstream audience to get into, especially if you want to make the nut that you're hoping for. Like Star Wars Battlefront 2, I think made it made several $1 million, like $3 million, but they shot for 10. I'm like, what? You made $3 million? Like, that's a large number, but also the development of that game was probably a very hefty sum. Yeah, they're basically trying to make their nut on these games, and if you release it anywhere around when Red Dead comes out, I don't think you're going to.
Now, I was thinking before would probably be better, you know. Well, obviously, I think it's better, but I was also thinking about what if someone only has, like, you know, a certain amount of money. They have $60 for a game. Red Dead comes out in a month, but blah, blah, blah game came out today. Are they going to buy the blah, blah, blah game instead of Red Dead? Because I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I mean, if I had $60 and knew there was absolutely no way. I mean, I'm luckily not in this situation, but if I was, that I didn't have the possibility to have $60 like a month from now of disposable income, then yeah, I would just wait. I'd be like, Red Dead is going to get me more for my buck, more bang for my buck, more hours played. So yeah, I think that releasing your game a month in advance before Red Dead may not be a big deal. A lot of people may buy it, but certain people won't in that situation. So I would recommend either doing it later, like several months later, or several months before. But basically, Red Dead is like a nuke. Like, it set off and obliterates the few months, like 2 to 3 months out. So I'm excited to see what happens. It's been
I think
speculated.
it'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it'll be
out.
really interesting. It's been speculated that Destiny 2's big, large, like Taken King size DLC is going to come out around the end of the year after the Gods of Mars DLC comes out in a month or two. So I definitely think that this is like introducing a new apex predator to an ecosystem. It just shake things up in an interesting way. So I'm excited to see what happens. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. When Destiny 1 was out, when it was at its prime, you know, all I could think about, like, all day was, man, I can't wait to get home, play some Destiny. Destiny 2 held me that for, like, 3 weeks. Held me for, like, man, I can't wait. And then it was just like, man, I can't wait to not play this game.
Yeah, I think all three of us, Chase, Vaughn, and another friend of ours, sorry, that was kind of weird, we all played Destiny heavily during each DLC. Sir, you petered out in the droughts between DLCs, or you just played the same raids and everything over and over again, but we, like, always came back, and it seems like, I don't know, Destiny 2 just isn't harboring these fond feelings like the original Destiny did. I don't really know why.
Yeah,
I don't think it's because I'm
either,
burnt out or anything.
It's
I
pretty
love that
similar
world.
to the first one.
Yeah,
So,
I
mean,
love that world. I feel like it may be because it's... I mean, this is the weirdest thing to say, but it may be because it's slightly less grindy than the original Destiny.
That's
so
why
the original,
it's too easy.
It's too easy to get everything. In the original Destiny, it was all about kind of just grinding, like bashing your head against a wall until you eventually got the gear that you wanted. But now it's like 10 minutes, I get whatever the fuck I want.
This is how I'm thinking of it. Getting a purple or a legendary in the first one is like getting an exotic now.
Yeah, they give out exotics like candy. It's ridiculous.
And the
I
first
think that was
one,
a terrible idea.
When you got an exotic, you were seriously, like, it was one of the craziest moments of your life, because like, there's a gold on the ground, like, you're freaking out. And then even when purple, purple, I mean, we called it purple just because we're lazy and didn't really want to call it legendary, but, you know, you'd be freaking out, purple drop. You'd risk your life running in there to grab that purple. But even now, when an exotic drops, you're like, oh yeah, I'll get that in a second.
I mean,
and it doesn't, I don't know, doesn't harbor the same feelings.
Yeah, the fact that they made exotics, like, before it was like a scarcity of exotics. It was hard to get exotics. So every week you showed up to see what Xur had because you wanted these new exotics. But with Destiny 2, they were like, oh, we need to get these in people's hands early on so that they can grow with these exotics. But it just didn't matter. And we were like, okay, cool. So I got these 2-3 exotics early on in the game. It doesn't feel exotic. It doesn't feel rare. It just feels like, cool. I got a cool gun. It makes people blow up. And that's fun. So I don't know. I return to Destiny for the story. I think if they're really, the games as a service thing is one thing, but I feel like they'll get more players like consistently playing if they put more into its overall narrative than just trying to fix a lot of the gameplay issues. Because I think we'd both agree the gameplay of Destiny is tight. It's a good game.
It's a good shooter.
It's fun to play.
It's fun.
It's what
it's
keeps
fun to
people
jump
playing.
around.
Yeah, it's what keeps people playing Crucible, but what keeps people like consistently playing is that really fun gameplay loop and the narrative of the game. Gameplay loop for people like you and for people a little bit like me, and the narrative for people specifically like me who just like, oh yeah, no, I play Destiny to learn the lore behind each of these characters. So I don't really know what Bungie's doing. It seems like they are, I would say, not necessarily like alienating their audience from the original, but yes, alienating the audience that they had from the original Destiny. So,
and a lot of games have been doing that lately. It's like they try to get more of a, and this is gonna sound weird for Destiny, but it kind of fits. They try to get more of like a mainstream audience when it's like, just keep what you have.
Yeah,
like,
they.
I know you always want to
so
strive for more, but I mean, just take what you can get. And stop ruining your game so that everyone leaves. Like, I mean, now one game that I have been playing a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean day and night, man, is Monster Hunter World, man. Vaughn, you need to play that game more. You really do.
See, this is actually an interesting topic now that we brought up Monster Hunter versus Destiny. Destiny kind of suffered from making their game like a little bit more accessible to everybody, and Monster Hunter has like really benefited from it because it's huge. Monster Hunter used to be a tiny thing because it was not easily accessible. You had to play it on PS2, PSP, or 3DS, but now it's on PS4, Xbox One, and I believe possibly the PC as well. And it's
that's
blown
smart.
up.
Getting it everywhere is smart. Now, if they get it everywhere and start doing stupid stuff with it, that's not smart.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mean that it was a good decision for them to put it out on all consoles, which it also was, but they dumbed it down just a little bit to make it easier for everyone else to get in. So it's not like a Dark Souls difficulty, it's easier. It's more accessible for people like me and you who just got into it. And then also, they didn't dumb it down too much so that the original player base of Monster Hunter hated it. So that's what we're talking about with Destiny, is that with Destiny, they dumbed it down so much to make it so accessible for more players that we're just like, it's too easy. It's not fun anymore because they made it too easy. Whereas Monster Hunter, from what I understand from big Monster Hunter fans, is it's not too easy. It's still fun, and it's still gratifying to get these new pieces of gear because they're not just like, oh, before it took 2 bullets to kill something, and this is talking about Destiny. Before it took 2 bullets to kill somebody, and now it takes like 1, or that's a really stupid way to put it, but they didn't make things so easy that it alienated their original audience, which is a good idea. I definitely, I love Monster Hunter, and I actually wanted to talk to you specifically because we have different reasons for loving Monster Hunter. I love it for certain reasons because I just love the world and the creatures and everything about it. And you love it and you bought it because it's a game that you can play with friends. I think that's why both of us kind of, I don't know, we get along so well, is because we both have differing viewpoints, but I don't know. We have differing viewpoints, but we all come around to enjoy it the same. But what would you say your favorite things about Monster Hunter are?
If I'm being totally honest, and it's not even the multiplayer fact, that is awesome. I love playing with the friends in it, but it's just the monsters and the difference of fighting against the monsters. Because there's a monster where it's like, let's say me and my buddy Forrest, play all the time. There's a monster that he kills super easy, and I'm sitting here like, what the hell? I cannot beat this thing that easily. And then there's monsters that he's like, what is going on? I can't kill this thing. And it's like, oh man, I killed that thing in like 5 minutes. And so it's like, it's just differing play styles. It's just a lot of fun. And then you can join together. And like earlier when I told you, I said 5 minutes, oh maybe 10 minutes, is because we're fighting a monster, Negrigante. I think that's how you say it. You say it differently, but
it's like Nair Gigante. I don't really know.
It's so fun, and it's like we went against it the first time, and we didn't really know what to expect, so we kind of were just going in like, you know, like, let's see what's gonna happen. And we did pretty well. We died a few times, and so it kicks you out after you die a few times. And then the second time we went in, we were just straight up just destroying this thing. And then I don't know what happened, but we both died, and then we died again, and then it kicked us out. And it was like, we were doing so well, but then seconds later, not even a minute, we both died super fast, and it was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And that's the fun thing to me, is it's not like a game where it's like you just memorize the pattern of the monster, you shoot it a few times, you stab it a few times, and you move away. Now you can do that, but eventually the monster's gonna do something different that kills you, and you're like, well, what was that? And then you have to kind of relearn it again. So it's like, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
especially
so
when we're both using range weapons right now, so we'll just sit on like opposite sides of each other, and it'll come after us, and we'll just start mobbing on it, and they'll go after him, and I'll just start mobbing on it, and they'll come after me, and then eventually it'll go after our palicos, and then we both can start shooting on it. But it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, what would you say if you had to choose anything that you didn't like about Monster Hunter? What would you say its issues are?
My number one issue with the game is you can't run with your weapon out, and that sounds stupid, but it's so annoying. You can't run with your weapon out. It's so stupid.
Okay.
It's like
I'm gonna write that
the
down.
number one thing. It's the number one thing I hate about this game. Just let me run with my weapon out. Man.
Okay, what would you say from like a gameplay standpoint or the game overall? Not necessarily something as small as you can't run with your weapon out. What would you say you don't like? Like matchmaking, the way
the matchmaking in it
handled.
It's kind of stupid the way they handle the matchmaking and stuff, because if you don't play the game, there's missions and then there's expedition. Expedition's kind of like a free roam. You go in, you can kill the monsters, or you can just fish, or you can just gather items together. But what the missions are is you go in, and you can't, if you are doing the mission for the first time, there's usually a cutscene, so you can't do that together. So you both have to go in, watch the cutscene. One person has to leave and then join up on the other person, and that's kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, I definitely was not a huge fan of the matchmaking. How do you feel about because this has been a big issue for me, it just really annoys me. How do you feel when you're in an expedition? So expeditions are, instead of missions, expeditions you can die as many times as you want.
Unlimited.
There's really it's an unlimited amount. There's no real penalty to expeditions. But how do you feel about
the problem with them is that the monsters can leave.
Yeah, that's
eventually.
what I was gonna ask you. Is how do you feel about the fact that like you can get a monster down to where you know is almost dead? You see in the minimap little skulls. This bitch is almost dead. Fucking.
And then he just leaves.
Yeah, I definitely feel that there should be a certain amount of health that once you hit this monster enough, it just can't leave. It can't escape because you're like, dude, you are basically fucking dead. There's no way you have enough energy to fucking crawl out of your biome.
I agree with that, but I feel like if they made it to where, you know how you're not even fighting a monster, and it'll say, this monster is about to leave. You're not fighting that monster. I think that if you go and you start the fight with that monster, I feel like the counter should restart.
Yeah, that makes sense. It should possibly restart. The only issue that I have with the whole thing is like just altogether getting near the end of a monster hunt and you're like, cool, it just fucking left. Like now I have to start it all over again, which is fun and all, but it's it's not what I hope for. So like when I go into grind and hopefully get something, not grind and hopefully it fucking leaves right before I have the possibility of killing it. Like I was trying to get the Anjanath armor, and there was one of them that I like got so close to killing, it was almost dead, fucking dug a hole and left. And I was like, you asshole. And it's part of like this monster's personality to run from you, so a large portion of these monster hunts is fucking running after them. It's like, oh my god, this is so annoying, because they just run away and you're like, great, now I've got to waste time tracking this guy down and then once again fight him. So
yeah, yesterday me and Force were both doing a mission, the same mission. He went in before me, and then some guy joined on him, and they were fighting this monster, and then like, I don't know, about maybe 10, 15 minutes into them doing it, I went and did my own mission of the same mission, and then they ended up killing theirs, and then like just a few minutes after they killed theirs, I killed mine. But the reason for that was because there's this other dragon. It's a dragon you encounter later in the game, but he's a total asshole, and he just flies in pretty much anywhere you're fighting a monster. He'll just come and fuck around with you. So he'll come in and do that. But what happened to them is he like, I guess got like glitched, or he was just sitting underneath this rock formation that this dinosaur that they were killing, or this monster they were killing, had to run through. So he couldn't run through it. So he just kept running, to different areas. Just kept running. So pretty much the whole fight was them just chasing after this monster. It was pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, that is one of my another like favorite part that I have about Monster Hunter is that, I mean, it has its limits because there's only 3 large monster types in any area at a given time. But my favorite part, like one of my favorite parts about Monster Hunter, is the way that the world actually feels real. It doesn't necessarily feel like you're just kind of existing in just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like you're existing in a video game. It feels like it's real. This world exists because, like, randomly you'll just be fighting a monster, and I know this pisses you off, but you'll randomly just be fighting a monster, and then another monster comes and starts, like, attacking you or starts killing you. And you're like, dude, leave me the fuck alone!
See, and the problem with it, and the biggest problem I have with that is I'm fine with another monster showing up. I'm not fine with all 3 of the monsters showing up.
Oh,
That's
yeah?
obnoxious. When you have to fight all 3 of them at once, it's so annoying.
I can't say I've had that happen to me yet, but I know it's happened to you.
It's happened to me multiple times. Like more than 10. It's very obnoxious. And when you're just trying to farm one monster, but all 3 keep showing up, so you kind of have to just like sit back and wait for someone to leave so you can actually get in on the fight. Super obnoxious. Super
I think
obnoxious.
we both agree that Monster Hunter is definitely a pretty amazing game. We're going to have the full review out for Monster Hunter probably this Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that guy if you guys are wanting to know our actual opinions on it, or if you're watching this at all, kind of a thing. Like, I don't really know if anybody's watching this.
Hey, everyone watches this. We have like 3 million subscribers.
Yeah, that's our whole thing, right?
Yeah, well, I think we're almost at 3 million. I'm not sure. I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah, it's so close to 3 million. It's crazy. Actually, interesting enough, I mean, it's not a large milestone or anything like that, but now we're at 50 subs, so I think that's pretty cool. Hey,
I'm down for 50 subs.
Yeah, we're halfway to 100, and then once we get to 100, we're 1/10 of the way to 1,000, so it's a good way to look at it. I recently, I didn't necessarily make a bet yet with my girlfriend, but I was talking to you about it the other day that I was betting myself that since I'm not going to school this semester, that by the end of August, basically when I have to go to school again, that I am going to, I'm going to try my best to get 1,000 subs. And I don't know. I think it could happen. I think we put out enough content. We put out good enough content to where it could happen. But I'm excited to see what happens. So if anybody's listening to this on our YouTube channel, which is the only place it is right now, because I'm eventually going to put it on SoundCloud and other stuff once I figure it all out. If you guys are listening to this, just click that subscribe button. We put out a bunch of different content. Yeah, and we'd love to talk to you guys down in the comment section. You guys can recommend content and stuff, or recommend topics. And if you guys would like to, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/fanboytalks. But I'm excited to see where our channel goes.
I think, well, I mean, if anything, we're just talking, so that's nice.
Yeah, just kind of hanging out, talking, doing our own thing on this little podcast. So next, what I want to talk about is kind of, I wouldn't say, I don't know. It's kind of weird that's going on. So Paragon is shutting down. We talked about this in our last episode. But also another games as a service game called Gigantic on Xbox One and like Windows systems is also shutting down. It's shutting down in July. And I don't know. I don't know if this is I don't think it's an omen or anything like that. I just think these games weren't played enough because they didn't have enough buzz. But I don't know. It's just kind of depressing. It's seems like games that have a lot of possibility are getting shut down because they don't have enough, like, not enough people are talking about them. But also, it seems like the companies, like these development teams, are maybe not getting enough recognition for these games, because I loved Gigantic's art style. I think it looked amazing, and I thought Paragon's art style was really unique as well. It was really polished. But I feel like the biggest downfall of both of these is just notoriety. Not enough people knew about them to actually play them. How do you feel about that?
Well,
what do you think is their biggest issue?
I think their biggest issue, and this is going to sound stupid because it's a business, it needs to make money, but their biggest issue is trying to, and like I said with Destiny and other games, they try to appeal to a mainstream audience. When I know that's what you have to do in the gaming world, you have to sell. That's all there is to it. You have to sell. But why mess things up because your expectations are too high and ruin it for your fans that are there?
Yeah, you guys
fans
are
that
like,
actually care.
You're expecting more out of something, and that ends up what ruins it. You're expecting millions of concurrent users, like massive amounts of people to play, and you're so annoyed that not enough. I mean, not so annoyed, but you're basically losing out a lot of profit potential because you're putting more effort into this one game versus another where they might make more money.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because who it really sucks for, I mean, it sucks for the developers that are actually developing the game, but what about the fans that have put hundreds of hours into a game that you're just going to close?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I mean, I'm wondering if after Paragon shut down, after Gigantic is shut down, I mean, a lot of these games as service games just aren't doing especially well at the moment because there's just juggernauts that people are latching onto. But I'm wondering if companies are still gonna like put out games similar to these where it's like they're not, maybe they won't take risks anymore. They won't they won't do the high risk, high reward that they might have done before, because now they know that something like Gigantic or something like Paragon, which is a high risk, but if you put enough effort and money into it, it could have been a high reward. I'm wondering if they're just not going to do it anymore. If they're just going to be like, this is tried and true. We know people love the battlegrounds, so now we're just going to make our own like fucking version of Battlegrounds.
They're going to flood the market with Battle Royale games, and then they're all going to fail because, you know,
there's the new Battle Royale game, and it's like, nah, people are just going to play one of the million.
Yeah, and one way I can, like, explain this to you and how much I loved Paragon and what it, like, did wrong is I just remember it was a payday. You know, it was a payday. I was excited. I was going to go home. There wasn't a whole lot of skins that I wanted in the game, but I was going to buy some boxes, you know, see what I get. Just because I love the game, I wanted to do that. And it also happened to be the day that there was this big game-changing update. And I was like, okay, sure, well, let's see what's going on. And so they changed it, and when I finally eventually got on, because there was a loading queue because everyone was trying to get on, which that'll tell you how many people were actually playing the game. There was a loading queue to get on. Then when I finally got on, the game was a little different. And it was like, okay, this is weird. Not sure how much I like this. So I played like maybe 10 matches and decided, nope, I do not like this. This is not for me. So I stopped playing the game for maybe a month or two, and then finally picked it up because I just loved the aesthetic, the gameplay, the physics, you know. I love the game. And I still hate the card system, because that's mainly what they changed, is they changed the card system to something totally different that didn't work as well, but they tried to dumb it down so mainstream people could get in on it and actually enjoy the game. But what they ended up doing was making it a lot more confusing.
Yeah, so from what I'm getting from what you're saying is, if they want to take these high risk, high reward scenarios, they need to really buckle down and like play to the people. They need to really make these games for the people who they know are going to enjoy them versus trying to make them for everybody.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is I ended up not spending more money on the game, because it was like, I don't really want to play this because it's not super enjoyable. I don't really feel like buying more because, you know, I don't know how much more I'm going to play of this. And then I ended up playing a little bit more, but I didn't feel inclined to spend money on it because I wasn't enjoying it as much, you know, or any more money on it. But
so yeah, this comes back to the beginning topic of this, is alienating your original audience, because that's in a way what they did to you. You were, at that time, you were willing to put money into a game that you had absolutely no reason to put money into, because you even said there was no skins you really wanted. You were just going to put money into it to see what you got, kind of a thing, because you love this game. So I think that would be the appropriate way to do microtransactions, is really play toward your original audience, and people just won't give a shit about microtransactions, because, like, sure, you put a lot of money into Paragon, and you got a lot out of it. You spent, I'm assuming, a large amount in microtransactions, but you stopped once they really tried to change it and make it for more of a wider audience. Whereas if they would have just kept doing what they were doing, made it to where maybe there is like a difficulty curve for new players, but once they get into it, they get into it. And
that was the thing. I think when I first started playing, the first 10 matches, and it doesn't really tell you blatantly, but you're playing against computers. And you know what? I don't know if they still did that today, but it was a lot. It helped me a lot, because I didn't know I was going against computers, because it didn't really tell you. I thought I was going against other people, and so I thought I was doing really well, but then when I wouldn't, I would switch something up and start doing even better. So it was like I actually got to learn. I got to learn and not get totally destroyed because I was going against computers.
Yeah. So just don't dumb down your game.
And now it doesn't do that. Now I'm pretty sure it just makes it to where you just join games. Now you can choose against computers, but really, who's willingly gonna pick to go against a computer?
Yeah, because it makes you seem like a little bit less. Like, going against bots isn't exactly like, you don't want to do it, but going against people is more intense. You know, you're going against a real person versus like some stupid algorithm.
Yeah, but it didn't tell me, and I wasn't mad when I figured it out. I was like, oh, okay, well, I did really well against the computers. Let's go into real combat now. And I learned from it, and it was a lot more beneficial than just throwing me into a game against other people. Don't tell me that I'm going against computers, because I don't want to go against computers, but make me feel like I'm going against other people, you know? Make me learn the game rather than just trying to teach it a little bit.
Yeah, so this is a topic that was like a big thing throughout the gaming industry as a whole. And like Phil Fish kind of like talked about this a long time ago, before the release of Indie Game the Movie and stuff like that. But he talked about how JRPGs really suffered because they're just entirely tutorials, and they don't just drop you into a game and like let you play. But what you're talking about with Paragon is they did, in a way, give you a tutorial making you go against bots, so you really learned how to play the game. But what they did was made it seem like you were just playing the game. It was a tutorial, but you were playing the game. It didn't seem like a tutorial. So I think that's a good thing to really talk about, is because also with Monster Hunter, sorry this is a mostly game focused podcast, I guess. If you guys are big fans of games, obviously subscribe and everything, because that's what this channel is all about. And if you like this games talk, make sure you leave it in the comments down below. But with Monster Hunter, there's not a whole lot of tutorials, and some people say that's a bad thing, but also it's really fun because you learn how to like use all these unique weapons on your own, and in a way you're better for it. And there are small tutorials, but it doesn't really feel like you're being coddled, similar to other games might. So
And people complain about, oh, there's no tutorial, but if there was one, I don't really pay attention to tutorials because I don't care.
yeah, you just skip over it.
Yeah. And two, it's like, I've learned so much of this game by looking stuff up. Now, I know that shouldn't be the primary way to learn how to play games. It should teach you how to play it. But man, it sure is really easy to go onto YouTube and type in tips and tricks, and then IGN pops up or something, and they actually give you maybe some stuff you knew, maybe some stuff that's kind of stupid, but then there's stuff in there that's like, oh, did you know you could do this, and this helps a lot, and it's like, oh, that's awesome.
I mean, if anything, the lack of tutorials in this game has created a community. Because now, like, you've gone out and you've looked up things, possibly you subscribe to new content, like, that you never would have before because you weren't a Monster Hunter person. But it's really it's fostering like a new community of like players that are going to continue to play this game because they love it, instead of being coddled with millions of like shitty tutorials where you're like, cool, now I know how to use this weapon 100%. I might have mastered it, but you didn't have to go out on your own and really feel like you deserved to learn it. You were just taught it.
Yeah, and the way you said that, like, new communities and stuff, is it's really interesting, because I've primarily watched about 3 different YouTubers, like, talk about the game, you know, and surprisingly, 2 of them I was already subscribed to.
Yeah,
one of
you
them,
hadn't known that they were, like, prominent Monster Hunter people?
Well, one of them, they weren't prominent Monster Hunter people before, but one of them I watched him because he did a lot of Destiny 2 content. It was really interesting, you know, to watch. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, he did a lot of the Division content, and I really liked watching it. And now they're both doing Monster Hunter World, and it's like, hey, I really like these guys from these different games, and now I really like them because of this game.
Yeah, you're starting to see the community overlap.
One of them, I'd never seen him before, but I'm pretty sure when I watched his first few videos, he had like 500 subscribers. Now he has like 1,000. So I mean, it is building more community.
Yeah, if like, I don't know, this is all just conjecture. It's 2 dudes that know not a whole lot about like the industry, but a big thing that developers should try to do is foster communities, and less of like trying to make a mainstream game. They need to make a smaller, maybe a niche game, but with a really tight community, because that's how they're going to make a lot of money, or that's how they're going to get a lot of notoriety, is from
that's how they're going to get longevity too.
Yeah, these people are going to continue to play this game. They're going to have like, I wouldn't say millions of concurrent users. They might, depending on the game. But if they just keep putting out content tailored to the people who are playing the game instead of trying to make it for everybody, you're going to make a lot of money, and you're going to have a lot of people playing your game and loving your game. And then from word of mouth, other people are going to come to this game.
And that was one thing that was so unique about Paragon, is the fact that there was maybe 5 people that I started watching solely because of Paragon, and now it's like they play a different game, and I'm like less inclined to watch it because it's not the game I'm interested in, but I do watch it because it's like, I really enjoy this person. And one of them, his Paragon content was just awesome. He was really funny, and he like tweeted out and stuff, was like, it was like, I just don't have that drive anymore because I know it's gone, it's gonna leave, you know. It's like, no, don't say that. We want you to like make other stuff. But it's like, and he was like, but Paragon just gave me something, some sort of like itch. It scratched some sort of itch that no other game really scratched. And it was kind of sad to hear, because it's like, he has a full-time job. He doesn't make these videos to make money. He makes them because he loves the game and he loves the community. And it's just really sad that it's like, taking the game offline is like home wrecking. in a lot
Yeah.
of ways.
It's really like ruining a community of like really like-minded people. It's kind of taking away people's inspiration.
Yeah, and it's really sad because it's like, man, I would have never known about these YouTubers without Paragon. And now how much am I going to watch? Because they're probably not going to make a whole lot more content, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Communities are suffering because the one thing that they rallied behind is now gone. I don't know a whole lot about the gigantic community. I like it's not
gigantic.
shutting down. Yeah, right. It sounds huge. It's shutting down in July, and I might hop on just to see kind of what I was missing. But I don't know. I think it's kind of a dark, like everyone's going to make it seem like 2018 is the best year for video games because amazing games came out, but it's also like this is a kind of a dark year for video games as well, at least for certain people, because games that they loved are just being wiped out of existence because they're not a mainstream thing. They're just not making enough money as they're not making as much money as fucking Fortnite Battle Royale, which is everybody's just circle jerk right now.
And that was the thing that it was like, Royale. I was watching one of their streams, you know, and he's sitting there and he's playing Paragon, and they've really, and it kind of sucks, they've really stopped caring about the game, which I get it, they really should, but they've stopped caring about it. They stopped putting patches out like weekly, so that if there's something wrong, like it's really having frame rate issues on the PC or something, they're not gonna fix it for a while, if ever. And so he was playing and he was streaming and he was like, man, this is not playing well. And someone in the chat was like, why don't you just play a different game? And he said, well, because if I play a different game, then half of you guys are gonna leave.
Yeah, why don't you play a different game? It's like, because I don't want to play a different game.
No, and I'm sure he would have liked to play a different game, but he, in particular, does it for a living. So it's like the more people watching, the better.
Yeah.
And it was really sad to just hear him say, like, I mean, if I stop playing this game, you guys are going to leave.
Yeah, sadly, like, communities are kind of, like, fostered after this. Okay, so the Paragon community is specific about Paragon, and now you were talking about how you were watching this guy's videos and he put out videos about different games and you didn't like necessarily care that much. You watched it because it was him, but you didn't care about the games. So yeah, definitely like there's some large communities that are just suffering because of all these cancellations and everything. Hopefully you guys all find like a new game to rally behind. I don't know. Maybe like the Paragon people. Yeah, maybe the Paragon people will all get like super stoked and play some fucking Monster Hunter.
Well, I am, that's for sure. That game's a blast.
Yeah, that game's a lot of fun. The only like issue that I have is I'm not necessarily a part of any community because I want to be a part of so many. So like I start playing Monster Hunter, I'm like, man, I love Monster Hunter. I want to put more time into Monster Hunter, but I also want to like watch this specific TV show or I want to
Yeah, you're super weird about
Celeste,
that because we're playing a game. We'll be playing Monster Hunter, and you played it for like the entire week nonstop, and then this weekend it's like, where'd Vaughn go?
Yeah, I was watching movies.
Yeah, and it's
I watched these two like movies with my girlfriend last night.
Yeah, and we kept inviting you, like, oh, maybe he'll fall into the trap, but
no, it's kind of interesting. Last night, yeah, you guys kept inviting me, and like we were watching What If, which is a really good movie, and I was watching it, and Morgan was like, we were talking about watching This Is Where I Leave You, because Adam Driver is also in it, and after What If was over, I was like thinking maybe I'd hop on Monster Hunter, and she's like, nah, we're gonna watch this movie.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we watched This Is Where I Leave You, which I was totally fine with because I love both those movies. But yeah,
But it's like we want to get you to high gear or high rank so we can do awesome monsters together because they get a lot harder after high rank. But no, you just won't get on.
Yeah, I feel like I specifically spread myself too thin because I want to play everything, but I don't get too into anything. So, like, I'm super stoked for fucking the Shadow of the Colossus remake, which I'm going to buy, and Crossing Souls, and Aegis Defenders, and, like, all these amazing games coming out. But I know that I'm probably going to put, like, 10 minutes into each, and then just randomly, like, fucking watch a TV show. Or, yeah, hop to the next one because I want to get into everything. So I don't know. It definitely comes down to there's just not enough time. Not enough time on Earth to play everything you want to play.
See, and that's why I usually find one game and I play the hell out of that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Definitely makes
Yeah.
sense. Is there any other topics that you wanted to cover today?
Not really. This has been the video game podcast, I guess.
Yeah, it's been mostly video games. I really like it. I mean, we've been talking about possibly doing an additional podcast just about video games, but I don't know if you guys just want us to talk about video games. It just might be something we do. I don't know. Leave that in the comments down below, though, on Fanboy Talks. And also check out our Patreon page where you guys can actually, one of the bonuses is topics on the podcast. So check that out. It's patreon.com/fanboytalks.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Vaughn, for hopping on and having a nice discussion about video games.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I love to do.
Awesome. See ya.
Yeah, have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching.